On Sunday the 29th of September, the body of a 69-year-old therapist named William Abraham was found wrapped in a tarp at the side of a highway in Louisiana after he suffered what investigators described as a very physical, very violent death. Just a couple of days later, a 20-year-old TikToker who went by the name Mr. Prada was arrested after he crashed the victim's car in Dallas, Texas, around a 7-hour drive away. There's a ton of misinformation circulating about this case online, so in this video I'll uncover all the information currently known, the rumours, the theories, and ultimately attempt to separate fact from fiction. Let's investigate. If you enjoy internet mysteries and generally disturbing content, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can become a Ko-fi member or a channel member to gain access to uncut videos and other perks, or you can leave me a tip by clicking the thanks under this video. Thanks to anyone who considers this. Mr. Prada, real name Terrion Ishmael Thomas, had 2 TikTok accounts with over 8 million followers between them, where he posted relatable content, mostly short clips of him miming to viral sounds. They usually centered around school, dating, and other topics that would appeal to people around his age. He had a bit of a reputation online for stealing other people's content, so much so that when a new TikTok went viral, you'd sometimes see comments predicting that Terrion would post the same thing a day or two later. Most of his content was pretty unremarkable. He just seemed like an average 20-year-old TikToker, but there was a bit of a change around March this year. Terrion had seemingly vanished from the internet for around 3 months. He didn't post for 6 months on one of his accounts. He came back on the 19th of March with a 5-minute video of him cutting his hair off. There was no real explanation as to where he'd been, beyond him just needing to take a break from social media. A lot of people are looking back on this in hindsight and wondering if this is where it all started going downhill. Obviously, just cutting off your hair doesn't automatically mean you're having a breakdown or something, but there was a lot more happening around the same time. A month later, he posted a video in which he was singing a song and saying, quote, "My name is not Prada no more, stop calling me that." Some of his followers noticed he seemed kinda off in this clip and also referenced a video on his YouTube channel, which has now been deleted, where he said he wasn't doing so good. If you compare his demeanour in this video to one he posted on his other TikTok account nearly a year prior, there is quite a difference. Before, he sounded really chill and laid back, and now he had much more energy. He seemed a little erratic even. In the now deleted video on YouTube titled, "Woke up depressed, at least I'm skinny though," he spoke about his struggles with depression and warned people not to get into a relationship because all they do is lie and cheat, perhaps implying he'd recently been through a breakup. He was still speaking calmly in this video though, and I think it was actually uploaded over a year ago. The next video he uploaded on YouTube was shortly after he cut his hair off, and this is where his behaviour started to become really concerning. He spends the whole 6 minutes shaving his head, his beard, and his eyebrows with a clipper, while screaming and going on erratic tangents, saying some pretty worrying things like, "This life is a prison, get me the F out." A few days later, he posted a new video titled, "I'm bipolar," in which he explains that he has bipolar and he tried to hide it, but it just slipped out. This video, the one about him being depressed, and many of his TikToks, including one where he says he had a mental breakdown before, have since been deleted, but you can find clips if you search for them. These videos seem like a cry for help, but even though his followers expressed concern for his well-being, there wasn't a lot they could personally do. He mentioned at one point that he was going through therapy, so I guess people just thought the situation was under control. After the way things have gone, I've seen comments and clips of people placing some of the blame onto his followers, but honestly I think that's ridiculous. As I said, what were they supposed to do? They could request a welfare check, but unless Terrion was in the process of harming himself or others at the time he was checked on, they're not going to hospitalise him. In the UK, someone can literally harm themselves. They can say they're going to go further, and the authorities still might not really do anything. I've seen this happen with people myself, and I'm guessing it's at least as bad in the US. Terrion was getting therapy, but we can't even blame his therapist. Someone can be two totally different people in and out of therapy, and for all we know, the therapist did everything they could to help him. Perhaps they were limited by whatever regulations. All that said, if you ever see a situation like this playing out in real time, please do request a welfare check. Do whatever you can within reason to help, but as just a follower of a TikToker, don't ever blame yourself for their actions. Anyway, I digress. Terrion continued to post on TikTok with the same type of clips he posted before. There were definitely more recently related to dating than before, possibly suggesting he was seeing someone, but maybe it was just generic, relatable content. He seems to have a habit of deleting a lot of videos, so I'm not really sure what else was going on in this time, if he did speak about it publicly. On the 19th of September, he posted an 11-minute video on YouTube titled Emo Mukbang. In it, he said he wanted to put on weight, and the only way he seems to be able to do that is by eating McDonald's. Other food often makes him throw up. He seemed much calmer in this video, though he did mention that he zones out. He forgot what he was talking about a couple of times, and he does sometimes stare off into the distance while he's talking. He also tells a story explaining that he's scared of water because he almost drowned a couple of times when he was younger. I don't think these tangents are that unusual for mukbang videos though, and overall there definitely seems to be an improvement in his mental state here, from what we can see in the video at least. Just a week later, Terrion began acting strangely again when he uploaded another YouTube video titled What I Do After a Breakup. It was only 1 minute and 27 seconds long, and in it he repeatedly sings the line, "I don't want to be with you," as he rips off the shirt he's wearing. The content on his TikTok accounts was much less concerning recently, unless some of it's been deleted, which isn't unlikely. As I said, what's visible now is mostly the short relatable clips like he'd posted for a long time, but there were a couple that are kinda questionable in hindsight. At the end of April, one had text on screen that read, quote, "When you've gone a little too long without getting in trouble and you feel a canon event approaching." Another that has been shared a lot since his arrest had this text, "Practicing for my mugshot cause this might be the year someone gonna meet God if they piss me off too much." That was from May 2023 though, and whatever he may have done recently, I highly doubt he was planning it for a year and 4 months. The clip was probably just meant to be a joke. Some of his followers commented on his recent videos and since his arrest, noting that his mental state seemed to have improved slightly since the video where he shaved his head and was screaming and talking about life being a prison. Perhaps this goes to show that you never really know what's going on behind the camera. Terrion's most recent online activity was on TikTok on Saturday the 28th of September. A 16-second clip of him stretching then lifting weights to the song I'm His, He's Mine by Katy Perry, with the text, POV when your fave song comes on while you're in public. Again, this was just a normal video for him, nothing out of the ordinary, but just a few hours later, everything changed. The following morning, the body of 69-year-old William Nicholas Abraham was found dumped at the side of the highway, wrapped in a tarp. Sheriff Gerald Sticker said that he had suffered a very physical and very violent attack, and he had blunt force trauma wounds on his head, shoulders and neck. William was a former Catholic priest turned therapist who had appeared on TV and was well known in the Baton Rouge area. He was openly gay himself, and among other services, his website stated that his goal was to help local LGBTQ+ individuals work through identity issues, acceptance, and family struggles. His former attorney, who described him as tender, gentle, with a servant's heart, suggested the murder could have been a hate crime. He also speculated that William was involved in some kind of intimate interests, perhaps suggesting whatever those interests were may have led to his death, though a motive has not officially been established. Investigators searched his home and found no signs of a crime. The day after the body was found, someone was seen driving William's car. An officer attempted a traffic stop, but the driver backed into the police car and fled on foot. Other reports state that they drove off in the car but later crashed it, so I'm not sure which is true here. Later that day, the local police department released CCTV images of the individual they believed was driving the stolen car. The following day, that individual was arrested and identified as none other than Terrion. And this is where the rumour mill began, so I'm going to do my best to clear up some of the false claims. Terrion was wanted on charges of aggravated criminal damage to property, resisting an officer, and unauthorised use of a motor vehicle. He was picked out of a lineup by the officer who performed the traffic stop and was subsequently arrested. On the 3rd of October, Terrion was charged with murder. His apartment was searched and police found evidence indicating a violent altercation had occurred there, including a significant amount of blood and multiple sharp objects and other weapons. William's exact time of death hasn't been confirmed, but it was thought to have been on Saturday night. He was seen entering Terrion's apartment that night, and sometime after, witnesses saw Terrion struggling to drag something wrapped in a blue sheet down the stairs of the apartment building before placing it in William's car. Terrion's final TikTok was posted on Saturday evening, likely just a couple of hours before the murder. Terrion is currently in police custody in the Dallas County Jail, and he will be extradited to Louisiana at a later date. This is an ongoing case, and we're hearing new updates every few hours. I'm planning to upload this video on the 4th of October, and the information in it should be accurate and up to date until a few hours before uploading. Terrion has only just been charged with murder, but at this point, it seems pretty likely he did it. He was identified as the individual driving William's car in a lineup by the officer who performed the traffic stop. Then CCTV footage was found of William entering his apartment. Then eyewitnesses saw Terrion dragging something down the stairs. Then blood and weapons were found in his apartment. That's a lot of evidence tying him to the crime, but why would he do this? People are saying that William was Terrion's therapist, but police haven't confirmed any connection between the two, let alone a client-therapist connection. It seems that people just assumed because Terrion said he was getting therapy and William is a therapist, that William was Terrion's therapist, but there's no information backing that up right now, and the most recent information suggests police don't believe that's the case. Even if that was the case, it's worth noting that it's unlikely that Terrion killed William during a therapy session, considering the murder happened on a Saturday night and seemingly in Terrion's apartment. Could William and Terrion have had some kind of romantic relationship that turned sour? Possibly, considering the last time William was seen alive, he was entering Terrion's apartment. But again, the relationship between them hasn't been confirmed. Another potentially relevant piece of information is that in 2015, an 11-year-old boy who was a client of William's accused him of inappropriately touching him during a counselling session. William was arrested, but due to a lack of evidence and what was determined to be in the best interest of the victim, the case never went to trial. William's attorney told the Washington Post that the charges were dropped when the boy took back the statement, and he apparently repeatedly apologised to William over the years. I don't really know what to make of this, as Washington Post is the only source I've seen for the boy taking back the statement and apologising. The rest just say the case was dropped due to lack of evidence. Many cases of this nature are dropped due to lack of evidence, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the crime wasn't committed. It's just not an easy crime to prove. But we also can't just assume the allegations are true when William was never convicted. I've seen various rumours on social media that the boy who made the allegations was actually Terrion, and he killed William as revenge. Although Terrion was the same age as this boy, William's attorney stated, quote, "The client from 2015 is 100% not Thomas. I have never heard of Thomas, and I have no idea if they ever had any sort of relationship." Other theories circulating at the minute suggest that William tried to assault Terrion and he killed him in retaliation. Again, there's no information to support this. Police have not established a motive. Remember that this seems to have happened in Terrion's apartment though, not during a therapy session, or in the street or something. Of course it's possible that Terrion invited him there for whatever reason and William ended up assaulting him, but there's nothing to suggest William broke in or anything. We know Terrion's mental state had been unstable, to say the least, in recent times. Perhaps he just snapped and murdered William without a motive. His carelessness when cleaning up after the crime could indicate what type of mental state he was in at that time. He was literally seen dragging what we can assume was William's body down the stairs of the apartment building, and putting it into his car. He then proceeded to drive William's car about for around 2 days after he dumped the body. There could well be more to this case though. I'm definitely questioning why a 69-year-old man was visiting a 20-year-old on a Saturday night. I'm not saying that whatever that reason is, it justified murder, but that alone really doesn't sit right with me. And it does make you wonder if there was some kind of grooming involved, especially considering that William was a therapist and surely must have known that Terrion wasn't doing well at the time. That's just my personal speculation though, and there isn't currently any evidence to back it up. Anyway, for now, that's all the information we have. Going forward, I strongly encourage you to do your own research via credible sources, because some of the nonsense that's floating around on TikTok right now is wild. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments, plus any suggestions you might have for a future video. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Huge thank you to my Ko-fi members and channel members whose names are on screen now. I really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time in a new video.